here we are, our very first Women of the Way discussion and discipleship group question. We are tackling, what is salvation? How does God define it? So we're going to start with looking up the words and tackling some follow-up questions. So go ahead, grab a Bible, grab a notebook and a pen, maybe grab a dictionary if you have one lying around, or you can use an app on your phone or your computer, and let's dig in. All right, I hope you're ready to dig in. Where I started in doing the study, and pretty much any study that I do that's a word-based or topic-based study, is I like to look up the words. I like to know what the original Greek and Hebrew words were and what they actually mean. And then I like to look up the English words to make sure I really know and understand what the English word means. So let's get started with that. If you look up the word salvation, I like to use Bible Hub. Go there, look it up. You can find the Greek word that's used, that's translated to salvation, and the Hebrew word. So the Greek word, which I'm not going to try to say, it basically means deliverance, salvation. The Hebrew word, Yeshua, isn't that amazing? It means salvation. That's Jesus. That's the Hebrew word for salvation. So we find that salvation simply means to be delivered, to be saved, to be rescued, which makes me think, okay, from what? Why do we need to be rescued? What is it God's rescuing us from? Seems like an important question. Now, another question that goes along with that we'll get to next time is, how are we rescued? What are we rescued to? But that's for next time. Today, I just want to focus on, why do we need to be rescued? And what is God rescuing us from? Now, if we look up salvation in our friendly Webster's 1828 dictionary, which I prefer over more modern dictionaries, he says, appropriately in theology, the redemption of man from the bondage of sin and liability to eternal death, and the conferring on him everlasting happiness. This is the great salvation. So I've got my notes all over the place and highlighted and everything else. It's okay if your studying looks a little bit messy. It's all right. It's kind of exciting. It's fun. It's a treasure hunt. So if we look in Ephesians 2:1, Paul tells us we are born dead. We are born dead in our sins and trespasses. So I'll read that to you from our NASB. You were dead in your trespasses and sins. There you go. Why do we need salvation? We are born in a state of separation from God. Why? Because we're born in sin and trespasses. Well, I mean, we talk about sin all the time. Trespasses, not so much. But why don't we find out what those words actually mean? So if you look up the word sin, the underlying word sin, and I looked this one up in the Hebrew. I didn't look it up in the Greek as well, but I'm assuming it means something similar. It's an offense. Sin is an offense. It's committing an offense. I believe the Greek word might be translated to missing the mark, because I think I've looked it up before. I just didn't write it down. Trespass, again, we don't really talk about that so much, but that actually means a revolt, a rebellion. So Paul is telling us that we are born dead because we are born in the state of being an offense to God, because we are rebelling against him. So he created everything. He's the sovereign ruler because he made all, he rules all. And we are born in a state of rebellion against his rightful authority. That seems bad. And there's other verses that talk about the sons of disobedience. If you look at Colossians 3:6, Ephesians 2:2, which is the verse right after what we read, and Ephesians 5:6, it describes these sons of disobedience, and it states that The wrath of God is coming against the sons of disobedience, or daughters of disobedience, people, children of disobedience. That's us, the way we came into the world, okay? That's why we need salvation. We are in trouble. We are completely lost and helpless because we are separated from God and we are rebels against him. Jesus said in John 3:18 that we stand condemned because of unbelief, because we didn't believe in the name being the character, the reputation, the essence of Jesus Christ, God's Son. So it's because of our lack of belief. It's because of the state of unbelief. We don't believe that God is who he says he is. So we rebel against his authority. We rebel against who he is. And that puts us in this state of offense, which rightfully incurs wrath and judgment. We're in trouble. We are in desperate need of salvation. So if we look at some other verses that describe what are we being rescued from, in Acts 2:40 it says, be saved from this perverse generation. Now that word perverse, if you look, another word in the Bible that's used, we talked about sin, we talked about trespass. Another word is iniquity. And the definition of that is basically perverse or bent. It's twisted. It's not right anymore. So remember that man and woman, we were created in God's image. We were created in a right relationship with him. But after the fall, it was perverted. We were separated from God, which means we are no longer the way we were designed to be. We're distorted, we're perverse. So God is saying, be saved from that state of being bent, being not the way I designed you to be. And if we look in Ephesians 2, again, it talks about that we are being saved from being in that state of recipients of God's wrath. We are also in Colossians 1:13, this is my favorite one. We are being rescued from the dominion of darkness, of lies. That's how John likes to refer. He always likes to talk about, truth and lies as light and darkness. So we are rescued from the dominion of darkness, of lies. And I wanted to talk about that word dominion. Dominion means power to act, authority, especially moral authority or influence. So when we are saved, we are set free from that dominion of darkness, the influence of lies in us. So the Bible talks about sin as being deceitful. It's a lie. The offense comes, again, we don't believe God, who is truth, and instead we believe the adversary, our enemy. We believe his lies. And so out of that unbelief in God and the belief in the father of lies, we act, we sin, we commit offense against God, and so incur his righteous condemnation, his wrath. We stand condemned. But when we are saved, we are rescued from this condition of believing the lies and having those lies exert their influence over us, and we are brought out of that to, well, I guess you'll have to stay tuned for the next part. See you then.
All I want is your will, have your way in me.
Okay, we are going to get started today with our very first Women of the Way discussion and disciple. Okay, let's try that again.